Podcast, Talkin' Shop, episode 87. Right out of the gates, I'm thanking our Patreons. You guys, you keep the light on. Thank you. Any of you who want to support this podcast, you can go to the patreon.com/chop and ball game and support me and Coach Chop. Coach Flick Money is becoming a regular weekly panelist as well. And then Tommy Gold throwing out all the videos on the social feed. So snaps and attaboys and attagirls to all of our listeners, subscribers. This podcast is equipping you, educating you to become a better youth coach, helping you navigate the how to parent in the youth sports space. And I'm proud to say that me, Coach Chopper, Coach Flicky, we're going to be looking at each other's faces virtually all week long because the playbook relaunches tomorrow. Coach Chopperowski, most excited about this relaunch. What do you got?
It's super fun to just get into a Zoom with folks that want to be better, because we want to be better. And so we learned so much. I think we might have learned more than our folks last time. Like it was awesome. And it's a ton of knowledge that we have to give. And we're still super hungry to get better. So it's pretty cool. It's this cool, like, give and take that we're given knowledge, but then we're also receiving a ton of knowledge and great ideas from coaches.
Absolutely. And all of you that want to jump in, registration closes tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. The link is in my Instagram bio. Coach Flick Money, what fires you up about the next 3 days coming up?
First of all, spending this time with the two of you. I mean, not ashamed to say I'm excited to smelling your virtual breath for at least 10 hours over the next few days. Chopper,
it's the mint.
Thank you, brother. Also, Chopper, if I could just, right now with the flow, you look like Bradley Cooper playing Kenny Loggins in the biopic about Kenny Loggins' life. If Kenny Loggins happened to have been a professional baseball player and coach, that's the sauce you got going on. It is awesome. I'm so fired up. I thrive on connection, community. So the two of you, but also this extended community of coaches who are moving the needle and changing lives out of the goodness of their heart that fires me up, Coach, every time.
Yeah, I love the text threads and the recaps that we have afterward each day, just talking about how about that coach in the Dominican Republic who showed up, and that guy in Australia who was up at 3 a.m. Zooming live with us in the chat. It's going to be great. We're going to make it even better than last time. And I think we even have a few folks that did the first launch that want to do a repeat. So I think we've got more attendees this time than last, and it's just the start. Super fired up. So any of you listening today, there's still a couple hours left to sign up and jump in with us. Very excited for the VIP, which will be very intimate. We've only got a few spots left, so jump into there quickly, because then you get to ask us questions, and we will look at you with our mullets, our Kenny Loggins mullets, and answer your questions. So that'll be good. A couple of recaps before we jump into our topic, which is what makes a great travel ball coach. That's the topic I want to hit today. How do you become a great travel ball coach? An elite, maybe that's an elite club soccer team, lacrosse, football. Doesn't just have to be baseball or softball, but that's the topic. Me and Flick Money did a trivia on Sunday night. Chopperoo had a game, so he couldn't jump in with us, but that trivia was really fun. Flick Money, any highlights from our Sunday night trivia with the fans?
Just how many people are so engaged, and also, Coach, great trivia questions regarding batting titles. Loved it. It was like going through my childhood baseball card collection mentally. Really dug that. And I love that with two people, we were able to cross-reference batting titles and facial hairstyles, which I thought was just added a nice dimension.
Unbelievable time. And yes, that community has grown over the weeks and months. as I don't know why, but I'm in one of these phases where we're getting a lot of followers. Over 40,000 on Facebook, over 170,000 on Instagram, and I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. I think it's building this community and it's spreading this message. That's why I'm wearing my play ball hat today. I think MLB is starting to realize the same thing. So is Little League International. Yeah, it's not a great product at the young level. Let's fix it. Let's make it more joyful. Character development, add movement, change the rules a little bit. So there are some really exciting things happening in the MLB and the Little League international world. We'll keep you up to date on that as the time goes. But I was in New York City last week, and it was a big week for Coach Ballgame Nation. Got to go on NBC at 30 Rock, and these were short 4-minute interviews, but got to talk about what we talk about every week on the podcast. About parents yelling from the bleachers, micromanaging, coaches in the dugout, creating this space where kids want to come back tomorrow and they want to come back next year. So had a great interview there. Met some great friends, including Cam Mitchell, who is my old college pal. Got to see him play some live music in Midtown, and then Play Ball put on some great events at the MLB Network. And our friend Joe Buck, friend of the pod, he went to the MLB headquarters 7 years ago, knocked on their door and said, "Hey, Commish, this guy in a funny hat, he has value for you. Try him out as a play ball ambassador, and maybe we should create some content or a TV show, a la This Week in Baseball." Thank you, Joe, for opening that door. I tried to kick it down with fervor. And now, 7 years later, the network is paying attention. And they're like, "Hey, ball game, come over here. Here's a microphone. Let's get some content." So good things are happening in that space. I've been creating content on my own, on my YouTube channel, on my socials, in hopes of this happening, for a decade. So I got plenty of content in the back pocket. So all good things there. That's MLB NYC. A little potpourri around the table before we get into our main topic. Choparooski, anything in your life besides the amazing haircut you have that we should be aware of?
Yeah, you got to be aware of this thing. I went in to get a full high and tight haircut, and my barber, her name's Nikki. She does a great job. She like flowed out the back. She's like, "So what do you want to do today?" And I was like, "Well, I was going to cut it off, but I got my curls from my grandmother. I can't cut it off." So I'm like, "Whatever you can do to keep the curls, but also keep the high and tight." So she went with the good old Kentucky mud flap and dialed it in. It's looking good. The Tennessee top hat's sharp. Yeah, we had a tournament last weekend. I was listening in on the Instagram live. It was awesome. I didn't get Paul Molitor in time because I was driving, and I tried to tell Bo, and he was like, "How do you spell it?" And I was just trying to get it in there. But
last twin to lead the league in hits, I believe, was Paul Molitor. That was the question.
Yeah. And I hesitated enough because we were right behind the guy that won it, so I have to take ownership of that. But wonderful weekend. We had an 11U tournament. There's a lot going on with our Little League right now. They do something called a mid-season classic, which I'm not sure everyone does. But so a lot of our guys couldn't make this 11U tournament, so we had to backfill with our younger group. And it was really special to be. And in fact, we had to get a kid. His name is Kane Abbott, and he was willing to drive from Sierra Vista, which is a 4-hour drive, to Phoenix. And that was only for one day because all my guys could play on Sunday. So I was like, a coach said, "Hey, my kid will do that." I'm like, I don't want to even ask a family to drive 4 hours for one day. And he's like, "They'll do it." And so I talked to the dad, and he's like, "We would love to do it." I was like, "Man, I can't thank you enough." We would only had 8. So he was our 9th player. So we could play. And it's so cool when the good Lord blesses someone who makes a sacrifice or does something that out of the kindness of their heart, because we had 2 walk-off wins on Saturday. And this young man, Kane, started the first walk-off with a leadoff double. And then he had the game-winning walk-off hit in the second game. and he pitched the second game. And it was just great attitude, great teammate, just a wonderful human. And then he went home, and then we backfilled with our guys that are normally on our roster, and another 1-run win in the first game. You got to play 3 on Sunday. Another great win in the second game in the semifinals. And then we get to this championship game, and Coach Strong, shout out to Coach Strong. I've already sent him the pod, and he's already listened to it. He's going to be an incredible guest on this show, dude. Coach Strong is so positive and so engaged and so connected with his kids.
And
It
again,
was
this
really
was
special.
the coach you were going against.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, not
Amazing.
just the coach I was going against. They scored 11 runs in the first inning, all earned against us, and I was so impressed just with everything.
Why did you not despise the coach on the other team and want to beat his team 38 to 11? Well,
Well,
why didn't you go that route?
I actually got his phone number, and we're going to scrimmage because iron sharpens iron. And yeah, they had our number on that day, and they were amazing. They squeezed, they safety squeezed, they hit and ran, they they did everything the right way, encouraging. The kids were wonderful and respectful. And so whenever we run across a team like that and coaches like that, we get their phone number, and then we set up double headers where we can barbecue in between games and just break bread with like-minded individuals and kids. So it was awesome. He asked me at one point, or he made the comment, he's like, man, it's so refreshing to hear you not yell and scream at your kids. They're not trying to lose. I said, my goal is to attend their wedding someday. That's the lens I look through. And if you look through that lens, you will speak differently and you will move differently in this space. And so it was really cool. And like I said, he's already listened to the pod and he's down to come on. We just got to find a date. You guys will love him.
Double
Really
bicep
good,
salute.
really good beard. Yeah, just
So can you
stud.
do a double bicep salute with a beard salute at the same
It's
time?
tough.
That
The
is
Hulk Hogan,
gonna need very flexible legs and get the foot
Yeah,
up
man, it's
there.
tough. It's tough.
Um,
Great
flick
weekend.
money, flick money. That fired me up. What's going on in your world up there in Washington? Anything?
Coach, my little guy turned 4 years old this past week, so uh,
Yes,
just a
attaboy.
joyful birthday celebration. He's not yet caught the fever, although we're doing some wiffle ball hacks in the yard. But he is what he has caught the fever for. Coach's monster trucks. So my week was spent going deeper into the YouTube monster truck streaming content world. We got a Calavera, like kind of small but big monster truck toy for his birthday that has like a suspension system and really cool graphics. He went nuts. It was awesome. Monster trucks are not my thing, but you know what? Seeing how much joy he's getting out of it, I'm all in. We went to see Monster Jam at Lumen Field in Seattle, where the Seahawks play. And if you haven't seen Gravedigger, you know, hit a full backflip and then power out of a dead bug situation when it's on its roof and get up, and then the crowd goes bananas. It is awesome.
I'm loving
What
it.
was the
Love the
day? What
quality
was the
time.
day? April what?
Wednesday, the 24th.
Boaz is the 25th, so he turned 10 on the 25th. So yeah,
Come
let's
on, let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Man, you know who else is on the 25th? Joe Buck. How about it? Joe,
Good
Whoa.
company.
you and Buck.
Good company.
Well done, well done. And then yeah, our anniversary is 420. Thank you very much. For those of
Smoking.
you that yeah, it was a smoking, incredible smoking anniversary, and we have never partaked, but we found out 11 years ago that that's a very non-expensive day to get married. Non-expensive, 420. A lot of crazy
Interesting.
things happened on that day in history. I'll let you guys go into the history books and find that out. But the QT fires me up. Me and my daughters had some QT yesterday, packing some merch, some Attagirl and Attaboy shirts, and sending them off, giving some well wishes to each person. Chris in Missouri. You've got John in New York City. You got Cleveland. He's in Detroit, and Tex. I'm not sure where he was from, but we were giving some well wishes to all of them. A really cool way to I mean, just obviously quality time with girls, but show them a little bit about work. You know, you got to get the bag and you got to stuff the shirt in there and you got to slap the label on, and then just wishing people we've never met, wishing them well, saying, "Hey, I hope you have a good day." Really quality stuff down in the merch store, aka our garage. Um, Okay, let's get into it. What makes a great travel ball coach? Me and Chaparewski and IC Flicky joining us. We are consulting some coaches. I've got a pal who wants to create a travel ball organization where it's fun, it's joy, it's character development, it's not crazy expensive. Wants to make travel ball game esque. So it's a mixture of ball game fun and the travel ball world. I've never really dipped my toe in it. I've talked about it a lot on the pod, but I think consulting coaches that want to go down this route is how we make a change. You know, it's how we find those coach strongs with Chopper doing it the way he did this past weekend. Um, and of course, we plan on it being a high mountain to climb, and we want to disrupt the toxic culture, so to speak. And we've already had some interesting things happen, but I want to create this conversation of what makes a great travel ball coach. And I think Chaparewski is going to run this conversation because he is going to write a future book on this, and this will land on the Coach Ballgame Playbook site, just like our initial course here that we're relaunching tomorrow. But let's just pass the mic over to you, Chaparewski. Let's say you got to start with A number one and A number two. If you're going to create an obviously elite travel ball organization or a team, these coaches, where does their mission statement start?
Man, I wrote down a lot of notes in our pre-pod meeting here, and so I'm just going to kind of throw some out there, and then maybe together we can rank them. But yeah, do they speak in positive tones? Are they fundamentals focused? Is baseball IQ emphasized? Knowing where to be kind of on every play, every base has to be covered. The balance of the field, station-based practices, no standing around. So like if you go to a practice and there's a lot of standing around and wasted time, that's a red flag. The culture is set. It's a culture set in love and respect, where process is over results, and it's way more important. And when there is a mistake made, especially at practice, it's celebrated. Of like, dude, that was a great aggressive mistake. We're all going to learn from that. We just got better because of your fearlessness. And I love that about you. And here's what we can do differently next time. But I'm just so thankful that you're so fearless, dude. It's amazing. Do they have a long-term process? For me as a club ball coach, it is not about winning games. We've talked about this in other pods. It's about, can I help this young man be a good, productive member of society who has empathy and has confidence? And can they be a productive member of a high school team? And so this is our second iteration. That's a good word. Iteration, bang. This is our second iteration of club. In the first go around, when our kids got to that freshman year going into high school baseball, I had 10 kids across 6 different high schools that started on varsity. That's a successful club. And I couldn't tell you how many silly tournaments we won. I don't care. I had a couple kids that ran track, which is amazing because we focused a high athletic ceiling and speed and power every practice. So I kind of threw a lot out there, but I kind of want your guys' thoughts of where you guys would rank some of these things here. I also put on there, my goal as their coaches, I want to attend their wedding someday. That's my goal. And when you're looking through that lens, that has changed the way I speak to these kids, because I used to be a lot harder on them back in 2009. And now it's like, dude, think before you speak. I want to be remembered as a mentor, as someone that's in their corner. And man, my coach loved me unconditionally. I'm not having a wedding or a big moment in my life without my coach there.
Flick Money, I'll pass it over to you. Where do you want to start?
Well, what I gleaned from Chopper, and I could not agree more, Chopper. I think, what's more important, I really think depends on the day. What are the circumstances right now that this team finds themselves in? Where are we at in the season? What are we emphasizing, right? Or do we having some dissension personality wise? There's so many things that can happen with young people in the course of a long season and preseason. So it's going to change every day what we're prioritizing. But what I heard, what I gleaned from you, and what I kind of pull up to the top is this idea we keep touching on of a double win culture, and the win is on one side character development, and on that's half of the win, and then the other half of the double win culture is we're gonna compete like we're gonna compete our backsides off. We're gonna play hard. We're gonna win games. We're here to be great, the greatest version of ourselves we possibly can, and that's going to translate into wins. But we're not going to do that at the cost of the other side, right? I'm not going to suck. I'm not going to suck water out of your emotional bucket, out of your developmental bucket in order to get those wins, because then that's not a win. That actually, I haven't set you up for future. I've actually probably taken or increased the chances you don't want to play after this experience. So can we fill buckets socially, emotionally? Can we fill buckets skill wise? We want to fill up those skill buckets. Can we fill buckets team concept wise? And can we go out there and absolutely light it up? Eye black, dirt, 7 games in a weekend, play our backsides off and have a great time when we leave. I think that's what I glean from what you're saying, is this ability, this culture that does both.
Coach Ross, I think it's Ross. It might be Russ, a Hall of Fame coach, girls basketball coach at Vanguard University. His thing is the acronym. We've spoke on this. Win is what's important now. So to piggyback on what you just said, Flick Money, to get that win is what's important now. It's different every day. It's different in every moment. So yeah, you want to win. You want to win the moment, literally as a coach. So I love that. You're spot on.
Yeah. I love how we can both and it and not sacrifice one versus the other. That we've talked about the cons outweighing the pros by a lot when that win becomes so important. I think when that win of the game and becoming that best travel ball team in the state, in the town, in the country, when that is the priority, Chaparewski, what things have you noticed that are a con, that are not creating great humans?
There's a cutthroat nature. There is an inability to deal with adversity or for something that doesn't go your way. And that's to Flick Money's point. We're not setting him up for success in real life. Jeter said it, right? Like, hey, if your kid's never failed, he better learn how to fail. It's going to happen on the field, off the field. That's a thing that they have to be able to navigate. So I've seen coaches yelling and screaming at kids. I've seen kids crying on the field. I saw it last week. I saw a coach coaching third base. This isn't a little league game. And his kid just forgot it was little league. So he was 3 or 4 steps off third base. Well, you can't do that. The ball hadn't been thrown yet. And this is right in front of the third base coach. And you've got a 13-year-old umpire that's not paying any attention. He's not probably on his phone. That's supposed to be keeping track of whether or not that guy's in contact with the base as it's crossing the plate. So he wasn't. Wild pitch, kid scores. So I was like, excuse me, sir, can you just get some help on the play at third? Like he was off the base. And yeah, sure, no problem. Goes in. Of course, the home plate number is not going to see it. I'm just really trying to draw attention to it for the future. And I made a little comment of like, because the home plate number is like, I couldn't see it. I'm like, well, y'all could ask the third base coach. It was right in front of him. Kind of like it was a cool moment where he could show his kid some integrity, or he could go the other way. So, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but you know what? I wanted to make sure he knew, like, really important to have integrity. And he chose not to do it and kind of glared at me. And I was like, missed an opportunity, dude. Like, kids are watching. We all saw it. You saw it. Very good opportunity to do the right thing right there. Turns out when you show a lack of integrity, this guy had an illegal player on his team. Now, we beat him anyways. But he also cheated in how he backfilled his team. So it's like, yeah, dude, you see glimpses of that. You see lack of integrity where I'm looking, the first thing, if I can change a play that yeah, dude, he was out. Like he was definitely out or whatever, or left early. Like the kids are like, okay, that's how you handle things. Like you don't waver on integrity.
Yeah.
What do you
The
got,
true
Flick? What have you
colors.
seen?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it over to Flick Money, but the
Yeah.
true colors do really shine. And I want to pose the question to Flick Money. Where does that come from? Where is that need to not be honest in the moment about the runner at third base? Where is that need to create a team where there's kids are of old older than they should be, illegal players playing? Where's that need come where when a new travel ball coach comes into town and wants to create a team, you spit on that and say, no, this is my territory, and by the way, we're going to just shove you out of this community, try to go somewhere else. Where does that need come from, Flick Money?
Well, it's a lack of maturity on the part of the adults, unfortunately. Usually driven by insecurity, in my experience, coaching a lot of grown men who either weren't happy, generally weren't happy with how their playing ended, and so they're now deeply invested in this team that they're coaching, reflecting on them. Like it's about them, it's about their ego, it's about how the kids show up or don't show up for them. And so that's where you get that screaming and yelling at the kids, blaming the kids for not playing well. Where what would it look like on the opposite side would be a coach takes responsibility and says to the kids, hey, we didn't play well, and that's on me. Here's the things that I learned that I need to prepare better for. We need to prepare better for it, whether it's bunt defenses or how do you approach the mental game if you're going to play 4 games in a day? Like maybe I didn't do a good job leading up to talking about how we take care of ourselves with nutrition, sleep. What do we do between games? Right? There's things as coaches that we need to be responsible for rather than blaming children in a game that we know baseball, they play 162 in the big leagues for a reason. There's a variability on any given day of how a kid's going to play. So we need to be responsible for some of that variability as coaches. And unfortunately, it just seems the way of the world is we want to blame the players. And so then the coaches get into this territorial, I'm going to start, now I need to start getting the best players off of other teams because you're not playing as well as I want you to. We're not winning as much as I want to. So now I need the better players to make that happen rather than investing in the development of the players you have and saying, hey, if we need to be more athletic, then that's strength and speed training. We're going to devote some time to that, right? If we need to be more skilled in certain areas, then I'm going to learn as a coach how to develop those skills. But we're going the opposite direction where I think these little league or these travel ball coaches are acting somewhat like major league. They think they're major league GM/coaches, and that the end result is going to be them on television or, they're going to be known far and wide as the greatest or the best or whatever. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's
It
an
is. It is
identity.
sad.
It's an identity
Yeah,
thing.
I want to stay with this territorial thing of having to win the most games. So let me get the best players and create no sense of community. If somebody else wants to start their own team, Chopper, you've had this happen in your town. Walk us through how you approached building a club and then having other coaches or other parents want to start their own teams nearby.
Yeah, I have one that just started and it's awesome. And I was like, how can I help? What do you need baseballs? What do you need? Um, and
Why would you do that?
because our legacy is how we treat people, not just our own kids and not just our own family. And so for me, we scrimmaged a lot and it was cool because we're a little bit further on the journey. We started a year ago. They just started. So when we scrimmaged, it got a little sideways and it was paramount that I encourage all the kids and the coaches like, dude, we're just further along on the journey. You guys are going to be unbelievable. And then it's really cool because we've joined some similar tournaments and they've worked their way to where we would see them in a championship game. And I remember we played against them in a championship game and we won. And it was my turn to speak because they do these like ring ceremonies, which is silly because it's really silly to be doing a ring ceremony for this stuff. It's wild. But I took my time to encourage this club. And I told them that no one competes harder than they do. And I'm really proud of them. And it's really special to be able to see them grow. Each and every time I see them, they get better. It's a compliment to their coaches. That's a compliment to the players and the culture that they're setting. So, gosh, dude, just take a deep breath and do the right thing. I'm not afraid of, I want competition. I'm not afraid of someone, quote unquote, encroaching on it. First of all, this is not my territory. This is just where the good Lord has me. It's his territory. And so for me, I'm trying to just make the world a little bit better. I mean, I did that this morning with the random act of kindness that we always talk about. I held a door open for a gentleman named Ray walking into the UPS store. And I told him, I hope you have a great day, sir. And I told an older lady that her outfit looked amazing, thought she looked great. And she had a big smile on her face. And so just trying to spread that good energy. I challenge my boys when I get out of school, them and their cousins when I drop them off. Hey, I need 2 random acts of kindness today. And then I want to hear what you did after,
Bang.
So.
Question for you, Chopper. How many kids are on your team, your travel team?
Well, our club has, it fluctuates a little bit. Currently, we've got 9 on one roster and we've got 11 on another. So 20. And then we have another like 12 that are working their way to this younger group to kind of start the next wave. So we have 20.
20 plus that 12, let's call it 30 kids.
Sure.
in that world. Are there only 30 capable and elite baseball players in your town? Or are there possibly more kids out there that maybe need somewhere else to play? How many players can you field at one time?
There's a ton of great talent. And I encourage coaches to, when they see an opponent make a great play, and maybe it robbed your kid of a hit, encourage them. Like, hey, dude, that was an amazing play. Both you guys, great swing, great play. This is some great baseball. Like, what's the harm in that? I just started doing that like a year ago, where I would really be positive with my kids, but I wasn't open to, like, there's 9 other souls on the field that matter. And so, and the coolest thing is now it's starting to happen with other coaches, where you're starting to see them all, hey, dude, great play. Hey, way to go. Hey, good baseball. Hey, let's go. Great job. And that gives you a little bit of kind of relational equity when we do fall short, because I fall short all the time. I'm still super competitive. And so in those moments where I do screw up, I say I'm sorry, but I promise you the coach on the other side remembers the 35 good things I did or said, or the kind actions that I gave, to where when I do screw up, because I have this moment of, like, Rammer circa 2002, they have a little bit more patience with me because they know my heart. They've seen it.
Flick Money, I'll pass it to you. Where are you?
I was just reflecting on my mentor coach and the great lineage of coaches that we come from. John McCarthy always says, it's not a principle unless it costs you money. And I would extend that and say it's not a principle unless it costs you time and or money, because those are the 2 greatest commodities on earth right now. So I was just reflecting on, if I'm building, and I have built travel ball organizations before, shout out to my former coaching partner, Brendan Vincent Sullivan III,
Bang.
Stanford teammate, former Padres minor league reliever of the year, made it to trips in Vegas for a couple years. We started the Head First Gamers together, U10 all the way through U18. And one of the things that we did was sought out kids who really wanted it, really loved it. I knew they were going to, if they had to ride their bike, 30 miles, they were going to get to the field, but they didn't have the means. The money wasn't right for their family. And I think it's really important, unless you're seeking out opportunities to influence kids in that way, bring them into the fold. I feel like something's it might be sideways with the culture. Money's a big component of this. That's why some of these psychos want the better players, because they see the end game as, if my team is elite, more people are going to want to play in more organization. I can charge more money, and this all works its way to more ducats. And I think coaches at this level should get paid. You're spending your weekends, you're spending time away for your family. I think that's awesome. And double win, we should be being inclusive, pull some kids in, and not just because they're the best athlete in the area. How about some kids who really love baseball, whether they're the 10th kid on the team, they might be the 10th best kid on the team, but they're going to show up every day early. They're going to stay late. This is going to be a huge win for them and their family and their life. I think that's really critical part of the recipe.
Man, I think this falls under the culture aspect that you're building as a travel ball club, team, organization, whatever it might be. Chaparuski, you're the head of a travel ball organization, and obviously you've got 10U, 11U, 12U. You've got a bunch of different coaches that you need to hire and throw out onto the field. What are you looking for? Um, what makes a great travel ball coach if you're the Perez?
Speaking in positive tones, the ability to connect with the kids, high level character, buying into our philosophy of this is long term, and the ability to show like love and respect. Like I can't have. It's my responsibility to put good humans around these kids. So if I put someone around them that I have any doubt they're not going to do it the right way, I can't do that. They can't be quick to anger. Um, they've got to make good decisions because if they don't, like it's on me ultimately. And so I'm looking for good humans. Baseball prowess or IQ, that's actually the last thing I look for. In fact, if they don't have any, that's actually pretty optimal for me because I can kind of teach them my way and the lens I look through. And it's actually easier than someone who thinks they've got it figured out. Not that I do, I don't have it figured out, but someone else who's doing it a different way and is kind of set in their ways. So I really focus on character, positive tones, encouragement, and a willingness to learn, just like I have a willingness to learn. Like, are you trying to get better every day? I think that's powerful. But yeah, those are the areas that I focus on. And we have incredible coaches. And there's a lot of club teams where there's this like negative term where they call it daddy ball is this negative term. I love dads that want to help. It's amazing. It's incredible. So I have a ton of dads that help and they're really great coaches and they're great humans. Some of them are Patreons and they just want to make a better experience for these kids, you know, in our community. And so why would you not bring that in? I've never understood that. I have some guys that coaches like daddy ball, dude, you can't have dad coaches. I absolutely love having dad coaches. It's awesome.
They're obviously, I mean, it's got to be somebody's dad or somebody's mom. So what's the negative
I'm a dad.
connotation? What's the negative connotation for daddy ball? Where do people get that idea? I'm guessing they're the only one pitching, they're the only one playing shortstop, they're batting first, second, or third. So I understand that. What do you say to that population that says that's daddy ball?
Well, first of all, I'm the head coach. So if I'm bringing in assistant coaches, that's not a thing. But I think you're right. I think that is the negative connotation. But like, I've never understood that. If a dude's a good dude, to your point, ball game, we're all dads. I've got 4 boys. I'm very, very, very thankful that I am a dad. And so I don't think that makes me a bad coach. I mean, shoot, my first go around, my son batted 8th or 9th, and he never touched shortstop. This go around, my son is a freaking special dude, and he's playing shortstop a lot. But just over the weekend, he's like, hey, I know so-and-so really wants to play short, so I'm cool to move. And I move him around all the time, but for him to just tell me, like, come out of it and be like, hey, I'll move wherever you need me, Dad, because I know so-and-so really wants to play short this game. Let's do it. You know, I'm down, you know? And so, yeah, that daddy ball, let me just, anyone that's listening to this, if someone's a good dude, don't hold against them the fact that they're also a good dad.
Yeah, and throw that at the ladies as well. There are some great
Yeah.
mom coaches
Heck
out
yeah.
there
Coach Debbie,
that are
Diesel.
some of the best. The Diesel, Flick Money. When you were running that travel ball crew, what was your favorite 1, 2, 3 stories? You got any favorite moments from coaching that elite crew?
Oh yeah, man. Well, you know, just to finish up the daddy ball thing, I think that criticism cuts 2 ways. One is the assumption that dads, because they coach like at the volunteer little league level, that the coaching isn't as good. So I think that's one of the criticisms. And then the other is that this sort of like antiquated alpha male idea that if dads are involved, that I'm not running my own show, that it's not as pro level of coaching. And what I hear from you, Chopper, which I just love so much. You're just so secure in who you are as a man, as a coach. Why wouldn't I want to have other people around? Because it doesn't feel threatening to you. It doesn't threaten you. In fact, it bolsters. We have more hands, more eyes, more hearts on our kids. That's a good thing. But that shows a deep, deep sense of security. And I think insecure people have a hard time when there's other people around. They want to have their own show. I'm an isolated. It's just me. No one else gets a say. So that comes from insecurity. One of my favorite memories, and I'm sure you both have had experiences in different ways with this operation. It was taking a group of U13s to Cooperstown for the Cooperstown, one of their summer. It's really, they do it as like a national invitation tournament, but it's genius. The shout out to the Cooperstown, the family. I know it's an Italian family. I forget their name, who set up this amazing, I think it was 8 fields at the time. It might be even more now, and invite teams from all over the country who pay to play. Great business model. You stay in like plywood cabins. It's 112 with 94% humidity. Your assistant coach is snoring in the bunk bed underneath you. You get about 4 hours of sleep for the week, but the kids just have an absolute ball because they just play, 3 games a day, sometimes more if you get rain. And so I have a great memory of taking that team. I think we had 4 or 5 D1 kids on that team. Ended up being a kid who ended up being a starting inside linebacker at West Virginia in the Big 12. We had some dudes had won some really, really awesome games. And then we ran into the Orlando Vipers. Double I black salute to the Orlando Vipers, who put a whooping on. We played a great game, and I think we lost by 12 runs to that squad. So they also got to see that there's levels to this, right? So it was humbling as much as it was edifying.
And losing to the Orlando Vipers, did it make you want to head back to, was it DC where you were at the time?
We were at DC, Maryland, Virginia.
And did it make you want to poach some better players, or did it make you want to build this team up for the next year? How did you go about when you lost?
But that's the conversation with the kids. Now we've seen this. Congratulations. Now you've seen this. Okay. So now we have a roadmap of where we need to get to, what does the velo look like? What does the control look like on the bump? What does the hitting look like? The base running. They literally have now a 4-dimensional visual blueprint of where we're headed. And so practices, then, you can start to construct how are we going to get there. And I think that's a really fun part of coaching.
And that's an important part to folks say, okay, then what is the value of getting really good as a team? Well, you get to be exposed to the best of the best. So you got to see the Orlando Vipers, and that's kind of my focus. Obviously character is one, but like we want to get as good as we can be, because then all of a sudden now you go to this next, the way travel ball is set up, especially USSSA, which is a big organization. There's AA. If you win out of that, you get to AAA. If you win out of that, you get to majors. And then perfect game and all that stuff comes in down the road as they get older. So like our 10U is a majors team. Our 11U is a AAA team. And so now they're this major. So now it's like, and I've told parents this, I am so excited for these young men to be, or these kids to be exposed to better players and controlling the running game and all this stuff. It's like you exponentially get better because we're never going to stop our process. We're going to continue. I've got these little 9 and 10-year-olds right now giving 3-pitch sequences to my pitchers. We're already going 3-pitch sequences. It's crazy. Over the weekend, we threw out 5 guys at third base from like just ground ball to short, bad read. I'm going to collect the out at third. We call it looking for a pup. And so instead of going 1, like most of us do, I got to field a ground ball and have this narrow focus and throw the guy at first. No. As soon as we field that thing, if that guy's going this way, it's pup, 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 pup. Third baseman's covering the bag because every base has to be covered. We collected 5 of those dogs over the weekend. It's sick. We had a guy on first and second, and this is something I really haven't seen a lot of, but I'm really going to start looking for it more, both on our offensive side and our defensive side. First and second, hard ground ball. It freezes that guy going from second to third because he like has to like get out of the way of it. So instead of trying to get nasty with a double play that's you really are not going to turn, just collect the out at third. Like the runner has been debilitated by it. That the flip side is when we're on offense, we've got to try to find a way to jump that ball and keep going and not let it go in front of us. You know what I mean? So like that was a really cool thing we saw over the weekend. But you want to get good so you can face better players. And then Flick money, like you said, hey guys, yeah, we're pretty solid. We're 4 or 5 D1 guys. This dude over here killed a guy last week, and he's going to West Virginia as a full linebacker. Not literally, but he hit a guy really hard on a football field. And so, but we're not the best. We're not the best. Like there's better. There's levels. So let's keep trying to get better every single day with love and respect.
That got me thinking about my college days out in right field, and use this one, coaches. We called it the old sneaky poo. You got nobody on base, and hitter hits a base hit to right field. I pick up that ground ball and I act like I'm about to throw it right to my cutoff man. Meanwhile, the first baseman has snuck over towards the pitcher's mound to get out of the line of sight of the batter that's rounding first base. Sneaking up behind that batter is the catcher. Catcher
Bang.
covers first base, and you do a no-look pass to the catcher at first while you're staring at second base or the cutoff man, and the old sneaky poo gets them as they try and dive back into first. So,
I love it.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I was able to do it. Our catcher, Greg Metzger, went on to have a great minor league career with the Oakland A's. I popped it right to him. Bang biscuit.
Love that.
I love that old sneaky poo. Chopper, I'll throw this one at you, and then we'll go to Flick Money. Red flags. You're a parent of a kid. They seem like they've aged out, or the skill level is beyond what's going to challenge them in rec ball or little league, and they need to go play some club ball, some travel ball. Red flags for that parent of I don't think that coach, I don't think that travel ball organization is right for you.
Yeah, it's basically the other side of the coin of all the things we talk about what we want to build. So go watch their team play. Go watch and see how this coach speaks and communicates and what is he focused on? What are his priorities? I would interview a coach. I would interview him with like, what defines you? What is your culture? What is your mission statement? What matters most to you? And if they start talking about, we win every weekend, we've got the best players, I've been doing this for 16 years and there's no other show in town. If they're talking about the win on the field, that's a red flag to me. Go to a practice. Is there a lot of standing around? Are they teaching fundamentals? Are they teaching baseball IQ? Are they celebrating a mistake? Are they creating an environment at practice where everyone is confident and fearless and there's joy? Look at how the players interact with the coaches. Are the coaches just a necessary evil? Or are they that the kids light up when they see coach? And do the coaches, more importantly, light up when they see the kids and meet them at the gate and ask them how their day was and tell them they love their shoes? And did you just get a fresh cut? Let me see that cut. It's actually fairly easy if you can look through that lens of, is this coach going to build my son or daughter's character and set them up for success in life?
Just repeat that, because there you go.
It's actually easy if you look through the lens of, is this coach going to build the character and set my son or daughter up for life, for success? I didn't say that right the second time, off the field. First time I blacked out and said it perfectly, but hey, I'm left-handed. Happens.
Flick Money, what do you got to add to that? Red flags.
Yeah, well, we want coaches that are natural bucket fillers. We want them, of course, it's a travel ball team. We want them to fill the skill bucket. We want them to fill the development bucket, but we also want them to fill social emotional bucket, the teammate bucket, the human being bucket. And I think the best way to tell whether that's happening is how many coaches or assistant coaches played for that coach. You'll find out real quickly if they don't have one single former player who's helping them in some regard, or it's only one and it's like, the guy that was the best player at 13 and has a few other options in life. But if they don't have anyone coaching for them who played for them, huge red flag. Okay. Great coaches who are doing it, who are double win coaches, kids want to come back and coach for them. So they have those kids are around. They're now in high school, or they're on JUCO ball, or they're out of college, and they're still around wanting to coach for them, wanting to be involved. That's a huge indicator of a bucket filler coach, a double win coach. Another thing I would say is how many kids are returning on this roster? How many kids from last year were on this roster? And ask their parents some questions. What's your kid say when they get in the car, right? What's the overall tone? How does it feel? And you'll find out if how that coach is as a bucket filler over the
especially
course
after
of the
a
season.
loss, Flick Money, because it's great when you win, but how is he after a loss? Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
So you'll find it.
I think you got to watch the team practice, and you got to watch the team play a game, and see if there's a big difference between practice coach and game coach. And maybe we'll end with that note right there. There are differences. I definitely approach a practice with a different fire, a different tone, a different intensity than I would a game. And you'd be surprised. It's opposite for me. I approach a practice with um, a lot more intensity, because that's where the work is. I don't want to teach during a test. I want to teach the day before. So, Chaparuski, practice version of you versus the game version of you.
I want to give credit to Russ Davis. So I said Coach Ross, switch it to Coach Russ. He came up with that What's Important Now Hall of Fame coach at Vanguard University. Shout out to Coach Russ Davis. He's a savage. He's amazing. So yeah, get that out of the way. At practice, I'm pretty maniacal on the details. So we do a lot of different things, but if we're like getting ground balls, I want good reps. I want them to be in their legs. I want a pre-pitch when I throw the ball up to hit the fungo. I want them gaining ground, not just a lot of guys will go towards home. I want an angle towards first base. I want to see how close they get their eyes to the ball. I want them leading with the palm, shortening the short hop, lengthening the long hop, all these things. And it really, really, really matters. And if it's not done right, I'm going to mention it lovingly. Like, hey, good rep. I'll say something. Hey, got around it really well, but hey, hunt your hop. Like you choose the hop, because a lot of times kids will get a bad hop. They let that happen instead of shortening it or lengthening it, giving it space or shortening it. So yeah, I'm way more attention to detail. I'm way more intense. I would say still lovingly, but I'm way more intense. Every once in a blue moon, it hasn't happened a lot with this group, but every once in a while I'll have to call them in and be, hey boys, we're trying to be great. We're trying to be great. And right now we're just kind of going through the motions. Don't waste your time. Don't waste mom and dad's time. Hold each other accountable. Like, let's go. Like, let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. Whereas in a game, I'm the comforter in chief, and that's it. I'm trying to get them back in the moment. I'm making sure they know, like, hey, I know we're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. Can we all rally? Can we learn how to, in those tough moments, human nature is to fracture and to go into our rooms and jump on our phones and get away from it. And like, no, we need to draw closer together and bind together in those tough spots and individually respond. And more importantly, collectively respond. Kid makes an error and ball game, you're on the bump. Hey, ball man, great chance to pick Flick Money up. You got a great opportunity here. I love the quote from my close friend, Mike Bear. He's a CIF championship coach from California. Now he's coaching youth. The term he uses is, hey, take the invitation. Hey, we've just been given an invitation to come back from a 3-run deficit, or you've just been given the invitation to respond after a strikeout or an error. I love that verbiage. It's really good. Mike Bear's a savage. But yeah, that's the difference.
I heard two things, and I'll throw it over to Flick Money. Is the attention to detail, and you are much more vocal about those details in practice. Whereas a game, you've got this notepad that I reference all the time. My buddy Chopper's got this notepad, and whenever something goes wrong or right, he writes that down on the notepad for practice. And the other thing was, even at that elite level, you're not shaming them for a mistake. You're finding an opportunity for positive reinforcement. Love the way you got around that ball. Now let's talk about the glove. So you got to open up their ears before you can give them that constructive criticism. Is that laminated?
Yeah, well, it's the notebook. So it's my lineup, it's my notes, it's the where they're going to be every inning. So it drives me nuts when coaches don't know what they're doing, right? In the sense of like, hey, coach, where do I go? And they're like, oh, I don't know. You go there and you go there. Like I have everything scripted out, like their defensive position. So I know where we're going every inning, and it's all, and they have both in the dugout. So they know in the first inning, Austin's on the bump, Easton's catching, Nolan's at first, Bryce is at second, Lucas is at third, Bo's at short, Drew's in left, Zyler's in center, and G Money is in right. And this whole thing is set up. And then before the game starts, now I know too, as I'm setting all this up, I'll look through and I'll be like, all right, I got to make an adjustment with this or that. And I got to get this young man an opportunity to play maybe some short. Hey, I don't want this guy to go 4 innings behind the dish. Maybe I'm going to switch that and have him go 3. It's starting to get hot. Or maybe I alternate every other inning behind the plate. And for coaches, this happened over the weekend. So in that championship game, Coach Strong was strong, and they scored 11 runs in the first. So I had to take my catcher out after the first inning. Don't just take him out and not tell him why, because he thinks he did something wrong. Mm-hmm. I went over, I put my arm around him. I said, hey, E, stud. I said, Easton, you know why I took you out? You didn't do anything wrong, and I'm going to get you right back in next inning, probably at short because he loves to play short too. But I'm taking you out because you've been in the squat for an hour, and it's hot. It's 85 degrees, and you've been in the squat. So I just want you to know I love you, and you didn't do anything wrong. That's not a hard thing to do as a coach, but so many coaches miss that opportunity, Flick Money. And then that that kid thinks I did something wrong with my body language or something. And now they're starting to second guess for the rest of that drive home. It's a 2.5-hour drive home until next practice. Coach hates me, just communicate.
Sounds like that notebook could be module 2 or 3 of the Coach Chop travel ball book, travel ball online course.
Chopper,
so can't wait to see that.
Sorry, Coach. I have a question, Chopper. I noticed that 9-kid roster, which is pretty awesome if you're a kid, right? You're going to be playing all the time. Do you do that intentionally? And if you go big tournaments, do you expand the roster just for like the kind of GM side of travel ball? How do you manage rosters? What's your thought process there?
So we will try to keep our rosters optimal is between 10 and 12. That's optimal. And if I have 12, I'm hitting 12. So I'm gonna hit all 12. And that's different as you continue to grow. And I've kind of evolved in that way too. I used to fall on the side of the equation where for the first 2 games, it's just pool play. We'll bat everybody, but then you're fighting for a spot. There's competition, and the top 9 will play on Sunday. And I don't do that anymore because I started losing kids. And I justified it by saying, well, I'm creating competition. Well, you can do that in other areas. You don't want to lose kids. And Debbie brought up a great point. A lot of these kids, even if they're a little bit behind, they haven't hit puberty yet. So there's going to be kids that may be a little bit behind other guys because they've just matured sooner. I have a kid right now who I think, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but I'll tell you guys offline his name. I think he's going to be really, really, really special. And right now he's not super dynamic yet. He's not super fast. I think he's grown into his body, but his left-handed swing is something else. And he doesn't know how to let the ball travel yet. So him to learn how to hit it the other way and just trust his hands. But once he's from a great family, he's a great kid. Once he hits puberty, this dude's going to be a big deal.
Is his name Will Clark?
Right. Exactly. Right. Right. Yeah.
Flick Money, the practice version of Coach Flicky with that 16U, 10U team versus the game version of Coach Flicky. I've seen you coach for 2 decades. I am very interested in this answer.
You know what's funny, Coach, is I played at Stanford University for a Hall of Fame coach, Mark Marquis, 3rd winningest all-time coach in college baseball, 2-time national champ, Olympic gold medal coach, Jim Abbott, a little guy named Jim Abbott on the Olympic team. He is, and I say this with the most love and respect, a psycho. Our practices were 4 hours long, organized to the second. How long he had it planned down, how long it should take to sprint from the batting cage to the right field corner to do your agilities. Like that was factored into every single thing. And our practices, you know, there were times I would sweat out. I would lose 4 or 6 pounds in a practice and have to go and try to eat it and drink it all back in. And then games were our time. Games were, and so it was such a disparity in how hard it was to play in our practices versus to play in our games. Game days felt like easy pickings. And so I took that into my team coaching. I don't mean to infer then that I was like mean to the kids on those practice days, but when I say I'm harder at practice than in the games, that's what I mean in a very loving way. The expectations for effort, for being dialed in are very, very high. And then I'm going to work individually with kids who don't, for whatever reason, that might not be their day to show up engaged. Then that's when those private conversations come where we're going to do the corrections and the conversations. How you doing? What's happening today? I know, you know, I see you as great. I notice this isn't your best effort day. What's going on? You know, those things happen in that context. But I am loud, boisterous, max energy, high blood pressure. We're moving fast. The practices is organized. There's not standing around time. We're going to make the most of that time. And then game days. I love comforter in chief, coach. Yeah. Yep. All I'm there to do is to support, organize, and create an environment where you get to see where you're at. Let's test it today. Let's find out how great we are today. What an opportunity.
Tower of treats too in the dugout. Tower of treats. My high school boys. So, hey, yes is the answer. What do we need? And so before every game, I would shoot over to the five and below, and it would be, you know, Sour Patch watermelon. It would be Double Bubble. It would be Seeds. It would be Squirt. They were pushing hard to get us sponsored by Squirt. And when we hit a home run, they would crack the Squirt off the bottom of their cleat in the dugout and go with it. It was so much fun. I told them it was like Wiz Khalifa. We worked hard and we played hard. Yeah. And I would run through a wall for my guys and they would run through a wall for me. And that was the vibe. But in game, dude, oh my gosh, it was so fun to just try to help them with their minds flick money of like, all right, I can see it's a little bit faster for him. It's speeding up on him. Okay, I can see here. Okay, I'm gonna go to the mound real quick. Yeah, dude. Hey, let's breathe. And dude, breathing, we might have talked about this or I saw a video on it. One of the cool things about asking a kid to take a deep breath is it's an action you can see. I think Flick Money, you might have said this, but it's like you can literally, hey, ball game, hey, take a deep breath. And you can see them in the box like, and every time I ask a kid to take a deep breath, I do the same thing. I love taking a deep breath because I don't know about you guys, but I get fired up in game. Like even with these 9 and 10-year-olds, I am so excited to try to help them get in the right spot. I'm reading swings. Where are we at in the lineup? What this guy do his last at bat? How did we pitch him last at bat? That was one of the things that was really cool from last night. I had one of my kids who didn't know how to throw a curveball. And so I just started coaching him. He's 11 years old, an electric fastball. I mean, an electric left-handed, just like favorite player, Shohei Ohtani, he can rake too. So his mom and dad are like, hey, he doesn't know how to throw a breaking ball. And we're worried about hurting his arm. I'm like, well, let me just, if there's no twist of the wrist, he's fine. So it's just like Trevor Bauer's done this too, but you like you're karate chopping, and then you just put that grip right there and you just go right here and you can feel on your elbow. There's no stress on your elbow. And that's how I was taught. So right before the game yesterday, we did a quick flat ground. I'm like, here, let me show you. Give me the ball. Here's the grip. No twist of your wrist. Lock that wrist and just right here. And just let that thing go right over the deal. He punched out 12 last night. He struck out the first 4 batters on breaking balls. Got to the point where he was landing 2-1 curveballs. It was crazy. But there was a point in this game last night where we went, the 2-hole hitter hit a bullet base hit off this guy's first at bat. So second time through, I've got verbals. So I told the catcher, hey, bag of tricks right here, which isn't super creative. Anyone can pick up pretty quick. That's going to be a breaking ball. So he goes, breaking ball, the kid swings through it. Breaking ball, the kid swings through it. And then we go John Cena, which is a shake fastball. And he goes, shake. And I teach the kids, that is teaching, basically putting a seed of doubt in the hitter of like, well, he just shook. What did he shake to? You know? And then we go heater up and he punched him out on 3 pitches. And I came in and told the kids, like, that's baseball, dude. Now we're playing some baseball. I have no idea what made me think of that, but guess what? Here we are.
It happened. It happened. Well, I feel like you're creating a birthday party vibe for game day. The hard work is done, the preparation is done, and that is a parallel to being a musician, working hard in rehearsal, being an actor in a play, working hard in the dress rehearsal. But when the red light goes on, when it's game time, you got to build that culture. You got to communicate with the parents. Imagine you're at a birthday party on the beach of Hermosa in California where they're playing volleyball and you're just sitting back chatting with your friends, laughing and smiling. The hard work will happen in practice, but have those kids entertain the crowd on game day. So, um, what makes a great travel ball coach? I guess we'll end with this. If you could only use one word. If you could only use one word, what makes a great travel ball coach? Chopper,
Culture.
yeah. Flick money,
Hyphenated word. Double win.
Bang.
bang. Um, that was great. And that was a great warm up for tomorrow and the next day and the next day where we will just we will go all hog wild on your coaching notebooks. You are going to fill. We're going to be bucket fillers and fill up your buckets full of wisdom and knowledge. So jump on this thing. And if you can't make it this go round, we'll relaunch later on this year. And be on the lookout for Coach Chop online course, the Book of Travel Ball, and Coach Flick Money. You've got a number of things you could go with, but what are you thinking about as your first spotlight course?
Coach, I think whether it's a rec ball um, or a travel ball, I think challenging personalities. How do I work with the kids that I don't naturally fit with? How do I work with the parents that I don't naturally fit with? I think that's where I'm headed first because that covers a lot of ground in the youth
Absolutely.
baseball world.
And be on the lookout for our next group webinar in the coming weeks, coaching your own child. Coaching your own son or daughter. It's been an incredible topic on the road for me. So we're going to create a webinar on this because, as we talked about, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's dad has to coach. Somebody's mom has to coach. Might as well be you. Uh, so let's be great. It's a great day to be great, right?
Bang.
Bang.